Hi everyone, I'm Krylios, Team Rayceen Productions MC and producer. And today our special guest is...
Hi, this is Yilin Zhang. I am a Democratic candidate for Ward 2 DC Council.
And how are you doing today, Yilin?
I'm doing well. Thank you again to you and Team Rayceen for having me back.
Of course.
These are difficult times for everyone, and thank you just for making the time.
Speaking of difficult times, how has the pandemic, impacted your campaign and the election process so far?
Yeah, so things have changed day by day with the different rules and regulations coming out. And DC started to really feel that impact in March, around mid-March.
Yeah.
And so as we started to see all of this happening, we really felt it was important to take a step back and allow everyone to process the situation and to adjust to this new, for lack of better words, normal. And so we really took a step back from the campaign and didn't do any direct campaigning for a couple of weeks. We also did not ask for any donations. And we are constantly readjusting our strategy to see how can we get our message best out to viewers and our residents virtually.
Of course, which is really important. So what has changed since the last time we interviewed you? Because for the viewers out there, we have an early interview with you that is on our YouTube channel. So you guys can definitely check that out. And to you now, what has changed since the last time we've interviewed you? What have you learned from the process altogether?
Definitely. That's a great question. I'm really impressed with the resilience of our community. I'm touched by how compassionate people's response to me has been, and people checking in on one another. That's one of the things that we are doing is, calling people just to see, do they need groceries? Or I have a neighbor who offered me an extra roll of toilet paper because we know we know we can't find toilet paper at the CVS.
Nowhere.
So it's just those little touches that really is very heartwarming. But in terms of, what we've learned is I've been very concerned about our small businesses, our vulnerable populations. So I remember one of the first evenings where the rules coming in about stopping in-service dining in restaurants, I was talking to one of the restaurant managers, and he immediately saw a dip in sales. It was more than 60%. So we need to continue to every person can do a little bit, such as ordering from a restaurant if they can, buying a gift card in advance if they can. Shameless plug here, but some of my local favorite restaurants are Floriana, which is an Italian restaurant, in Hot Circle, Sacrificial Lamb, and I love my coffee at the Y Down. So we want to preserve our unique restaurants and small businesses. And then one last thing, I just want to really make sure that we focus on protecting our most vulnerable communities. So this situation shows that we need to push for resilient policy that is holistic for our homeless populations, making sure that they have access to stable housing and wraparound services. At the same time, mental health resources, healthcare resources. Amongst our homeless population, amongst homeless youth, 40% identify as LGBTQ. We also need to make sure we protect our sex worker community and that in the long term, they have access to housing, healthcare resources. And also what's been in the news recently is our incarcerated individuals. We need to make sure that they are safe. So we're taking steps to do that, but we need to take it much further as we recover. We need to focus on that resilient infrastructure.
Definitely, 100%. And, I was just listening to the daily podcast from the New York Times this morning, and they were doing, it wasn't an expose, but it was a story about, those who are incarcerated and are getting the coronavirus and people around them getting sick and people who need to come out, people, to be taken care of. So I'm glad you brought that up because that's very important. And it's something that,
Absolutely.
you know, a lot of people who aren't in the situation don't even think about, you know what I mean? Like, don't even
Yeah.
really think about how this pandemic can, you know, affect people in situations
Mm-hmm.
like these. So, on to something else. The mayor has said, you know,
Mm-hmm.
she's been encouraging everyone to vote by mail. You know, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so the COVID-19 effect, we're going to continue to feel the effects of it
Mm-hmm.
long down past when we go back to our original normal, if we will get there in a year or two. There
Mm-hmm.
will be economic effects, there will be all sorts of social interaction effects. And so I think to be safe for everyone, I am encouraging everyone that I speak to vote by mail.
Mm-hmm.
And the Board of Elections will be coming out with the voter guide in May. And there will be various ways of how you can request a ballot. And I will be updating my website with the ballot request information. So I'll share that, my website address at the end of this.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you know, there will be 20 voter centers, and there will be 2 per ward. But it's
Mm.
best to, you know, if you want to make sure that you get it done early, definitely request absentee ballot.
That sounds good. So share with the people, you know, how they
Yeah.
can, you know, follow you, how they can keep in contact, how they can support your campaign, all of that.
Thank you. So my website is the primary source, and that can be found at www.yilinforward and the number 2.com. So
Mhm.
www.yilinforward2.com. And I can also be found on Twitter and Facebook at YILINFORWARD and the number 2.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you so
joining me
much.
today, Yilin. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure meeting you and speaking with you. And thank you again, Team Rayceen.
Of course, thank you. And to our viewers, thank you for watching.